JB here. Hope everyone's doing outstanding. Thursday, February 5th, 3:31 on this fine afternoon. Talk really quick about the markets and names I'm looking at. Go from there. S&P down another 1% here today. 678 here on the SPY. Back to levels not seen since mid-January. Actually, did we get down? I think we got down to 676 before bouncing. Hit that level back in December. A little bit. I think we hit 668 in December. I think that was on the China tariffs, or maybe that was January. I forget. Each one of these little dips have names. And I don't know what we call this one. At first, it was the software revaluation. I don't know what you want to call it. The flight out of software, or is this a Bitcoin collapse? You know, yesterday I wouldn't even. I thought more was just people taking out. May have to reposition because their names in their portfolio have dipped in the tech space, so they were just selling Bitcoin as kind of like just because of that, and now it's like totally different. So we'll see where things go. I had a nice little piece back in 2014 of Bitcoin. Bitcoin's been one of those things back then when it was $2,800. It was a totally different thing, right? It was no one talked about it. It was all riddled with fraud and abuse, and people thought it was a criminal currency or whatever you wanted to name it. Now it's mainstream. Like back in 2013, if you would have told me where it is now, especially at 60,000, I'm like, wow. I wrote my piece in 2013. I thought it was either going to be a zero or it was going to be 30,000. And that was just based more on the total amount of currencies and all that out there, right? Just as I'm trying to figure the capitalization of all these different asset classes. Now you look at it, and to me, people look at charts, and you have all the different things that they use to value. People once it hit 100,000, they say, "Oh, it's going to 200,000." To me, it's like a I hate that. It's like a confidence thing, right? To me, it's like it's not like it's backed by the U.S. economy, right? So it's not like gold or well, yeah, the U.S. dollar is backed by every currency is supposedly backed by the government of the country that it's in, right? I mean, that's how it works, the fiat currency situation, supposedly, right? So when you have Bitcoin, it's just backed on the concept that there's a finite amount of it, and I'm not going to go on the whole rant on Bitcoin. So when you start looking at like where can it drop, I mean, to me, if people were saying it was going to go to 200,000, here it is at 64, and it's let's see where it is now, it's 63, and I would think there'd be people like diving in. And now my concern is now it's you have like forced liquidation scenarios, right? So like if you're the people who are the passive folks who are in Bitcoin, you don't really have a choice. Some are not going to have a choice to get out. They're going to be forced liquidation. It's just going to happen. So if that's the case, then who knows where it goes? That's the scary part. So hopefully find some footing at some point. I just wish there was some, if I was someone who was bullish Bitcoin or wanted to get in, I don't know if I would get in here. Maybe, and let's see, do I have my Bitcoin chart? I think I have my Bitcoin chart. Do I have it here? Sorry, I don't mean to go on a rant on Bitcoin, but yeah, again, you put it all in context here. I mean, it's at levels not seen in 2 years. So if you start looking at that aspect, it's not like it's touching levels we haven't seen in a decade or whatever. And it's had these drawdowns and pullbacks in the past, so it's not anything new in regards to that. It's just you have someone saying it should be 150,000. Here it is. It was 120 whatever months ago, and here it is down in the 60 range. There's not a lot of buyers coming in, so that's a little concerning. But anyway, that's a little rant on Bitcoin. But the flip side of things, today's like another one of those days similar to yesterday. There's a lot of green on my screen, and trying to play puts in some of the names. And I look at the Lamb Research ASML is up in the green today. So if I'd done the puts, I'd be in the red despite the market pulling back. So maybe it's just me looking at the wrong names for put hedges. I mean, that's some of it. I've done AMD in the past, but uh, you know, I just wasn't a name that I had on the radar to get the puts. And then the other names that I normally would like the Intuits and the Adobes, I almost look like at Adobe, I almost look like, hey, maybe it's time to get some calls for a bounce. So if that's my mindset, it's tough for me because the hardest part of the option is to hold. So if I can't have enough conviction to hold a put contract, then I shouldn't be in the puts, right? So just how it is. I'm not saying markets aren't going to keep tumbling. I wish I could get conviction holding puts. It just right now I can't. So Pinto uses this analogy. It's like you have your finger in the electrical outlet and you can't pull it out, right? You're stuck in there. You just can't. Or deer in headlights, whatever. I'm not calling it a deer in headlights. I'm not. I'm just trying to rationalize what position could I get to protect myself for downside that I'm going to be able to hold, because that's the important part. If we have some downside, you got to make the money. You can't just sell at the first little dip. So I was looking at SQQ calls today. Well, yesterday, that might have provided a decent hedge, but it's up 4%. You start looking at some of the calls that would have been in. I probably would have got shaken out a couple times, but you had to go in the money and the further out strikes. So the 77 calls, they're up 12% today. So for me to warrant the risk to hold for the gain, it's just not there, right? To have a 12% gain on a hedge, that's just not, it just doesn't work out. It's like, using all the, it's like swimming upstream, I'm just fighting against the current. And there's Bitcoin, 63,000. So it's probably going to just keep, hopefully it finds some footing. All right, that's overall market. So I don't want to go on a rant. So we'll see what happens after the close with Amazon. Maybe Amazon could save the market. Google actually all the way down to lows at 11 o'clock and is bounced, sitting here down 1%. So that, I guess you could take that as somewhat of a decent, at least positive sign. Maybe nothing's too crazy. And again, there's some names that's still showing strength today. I'm trying to think. Well, Align Technologies, right? Another name. I was looking for Lottos today, and it's been stuck pretty much flatlined at 176 all day. And I'm looking at 185s. I was looking at the 190s at the open. And then I was all day, I'm trying to figure out some strikes, but it's just been sitting there. So at some point, maybe tomorrow, I'll look for some Lottos to play there. And then Reddit after the close. And I have the calls I added last week. And I'm sitting here. Do I get some calls on Reddit? And 210s, 215s, maybe some Lottos there. $60 out on money. The option right now, it's a $21 move implied on Reddit. So whatever that is, 12, 13. I don't even know if my fuzzy math here, but the 210s are 23 by 35. So I mean, take a flyer on that. I, you know me, I know it's going to be a beat and raise and monster numbers on Reddit. It's going to be another one of those 60% growth, probably more than that. So it's gonna be a monster beat and raise, but how does the market react? And then I start rationalizing some of the other moves here. Do you have to start looking at some of these names in the space, like even Reddit is it going to be revalued now? Are they scaling back multiples? And is this why, the other thing I was looking at too is Shopify. And I keep posting in the chat room, right? Shopify. I might have tried to add calls on Shopify like 5 times over the last 24 hours. The 129s yesterday, the 126s, the 123s, the 120s. And, at times I'm kicking myself because after it hit lows at 11 o'clock, it was like 109, and boom, off to the races up to 115. And I'm kicking myself. But again, similar story. Maybe I will have locked some in to cover costs, but I would still be holding them, and then I'd be back in the red. So it's kind of like not resistance is futile, but it just one half is good. I haven't chased things and lost money. The other half is frustrating trying to find some decent trades. So I guess the good thing is I haven't just thrown money out there to make trades. The bad thing, I haven't made money. Well, GameStop. So all right, so that's rants for other days. Maybe tomorrow I'll find some opportunities from Lottos. If we can, I always talk about the ideal scenarios. We get a little dip, reversal, and then have a green day tomorrow. That would be ideal. Hopefully, it's not another chop session. Was it last Friday or the Friday before we had that? That was frustrating. Yeah, all right. That's overall markets. So just quick on individual names. If there's names that are kind of, I wouldn't say surprising, but GameStop holding up there. At times in the morning, it looked like it was going to break out all the way up to 25.50. And, I'm sitting there. I'm like, do I close the last of my February strikes out? So I close them out for a small gain. Still, I locked most of those in already. I locked some in for 100%, then more for some profits. And then I got those March strikes. And, I'm looking, I'm like, do I want to, continue to ride it or lock it in? So I locked it in. And sure enough, we're 25.50 all the way down to 24.60 just a little while ago. If you're looking, for a name that typically reacts negatively to crypto, you would think maybe it's GameStop, and maybe some reason it's rallying is because people are sigh of relief that Ryan Cohen didn't go and load the boat on Bitcoin when they were doing their treasury, right? So take that with a grain of salt. There has to be some announcement at some point. Ryan Cohen's going to deploy capital. So if you're looking for a chance for GameStop to make an acquisition, you would think lots of these names have taken on the chin recently. What name is he going to go out and buy? Is it going to be a block, right? XYZ. I haven't had the time to do research on what names he might find attractive, but you have to think it's I don't know if it would be in the retail space. Is it going to be like customer facing, consumer facing kind of deal like Chewy? Is it going to be something different? So, all right. So that's that. So that was GameStop. Still have some empty space here. So I still think it hits the $28 in the coming weeks. I'll continue to look for opportunities there. Serve Robotics, disappointing, obviously. under that 975 handle and then just keeps dipping. I got those February strikes the other day. They were what 23 cents. I didn't even look what the bid is now. I don't even want to look. But I'll continue to look for opportunities. That's been a monster already. So it's kind of like, uh, at some point, some of these trades are just not going to pan out. And that's the case here with Serve this week. I'll continue to look for other opportunities there. I'm trying to look at some of the other names here. So Shop, MDB, right? So that's another one of those names. Amazon's going to report their AWS after the close. And you look at a name that, I mean, I keep talking about, names that are babies getting thrown out with the bathwater. Like, does an MDB need to be down where it's been down for the last, was it down this week? I don't even want to pull it up because it'll probably get me more apt to add some strikes before the end of the day. It's down 12% today. And just look at his charts, 2026. I don't even know if I have year-to-date performance. I could probably pull it up. But it's like, why is it again? Is it because the whole sector is getting revalued? Is that why these names are taken on the chin, like a Shopify? What AI is going to supplant their business? I just don't. It doesn't. There's other names that make sense. Like I was saying this morning, the Adobes, the Intuits, some of these names that have these bot services, the chat service or whatever, the Salesforces, the ServiceNows. I can understand that, but then you look at a name like Shopify. It's like, what AI? What can a consumer do that's gonna create a? I mean, I guess you can create your own storefront. I guess it's there. I don't know. So rants for other days. So hopefully you understand my rationale there. And if I thought we were going to get in the correction bear market mode, I would certainly be adding some aggressive out of the money oh crap puts, right? And I keep talking about something breaking in the market. Is it Bitcoin? And again, to see it down here, 11%. Last week it was gold and silver getting destroyed. And here's the S&P. The SPY is like at levels not seen since 2 weeks ago. So remarkable stuff. The swings we were seeing in April, we haven't even seen that yet. So that's kind of where I try and look at things with a little bullish perspective, or at least a little bias. That right now, if you looked on FinTwit, you would think the world is ending, right? Get your shovel out, get the bomb shelter, go get the groceries, go get your French toast, your milk, bread, and eggs, and that's kind of what's being spewed out there. I don't try to dismiss it, but if I was loaded to vote on calls, maybe I would be more apt to get some puts. But again, I'm trying to find some names and it's frustrating. In just because I shouldn't say it's frustrating. Maybe it's a good thing, but. And we'll see if SPY can hold here. I look at levels on the SPY, just a blue space, right? So 655 is kind of like the next area. And we're under the 50-day moving average now. So and we're only down 3 days in a row. I'm just more apt to sit on my hands right now. I guess is the moral of the story. Maybe I'll find some opportunities tomorrow, do some lottos. Solar Edge was the great example this week. I could have just did that Solar Edge trade yesterday, closed them out at the open, stocks at $37 on the end phase earnings, and called a day. Wasn't meant to be this week. And then, I'm looking, end phase all the way up to $49 just a little while ago. Let's see, do I have the daily? Of course I don't have the daily. Then back down to $47. That's a name, if I want to get long on some strikes, that can find some momentum, I think, at some point. Oh, SPY's going to hit 676 here. Yep, lows a day. Oh, we're getting close. 675.79 is the lows. We'll see if we get down there. Anyway, that's it. If something changes, especially if markets gets crazy tomorrow, I'll try and be on audio so you kind of, if I find some positions I enter, I'll probably be aggressive on lottos tomorrow since I haven't done much this week. And if I have conviction, right, I'm not just going to throw money on a lotto. But to me, I keep looking at Shopify. I'm like, why is this thing? It should, to me, I think it should be over 120. Maybe it's tomorrow, right? All right, let's have a great day, folks. Rock and roll.